Now, let me show you what other kind of supplies you might need for this. Of course, you're going to need your glue stick. That's mostly what I like to use for tags. And then if something is really being stubborn about being glued down, then I will use Fabri-Tac or some other kind of wet glue. Scissors, of course, a punch to make your holes, and bit of different fabrics that I might use. Even besides the one that I showed you, I might use something out of this, because you never know what I might feel like that fits into that particular tag. So each time I have something, I do like to sort of, I have that feeling, you know, everybody I think has that feeling when something goes together. So I also chose a couple of punches. This is the flower one that I might cut something out of, and then this, if I want a little image that I want to make a focus, I like this 1.5-inch square punch, so I'll use that as well. And the ones that are already done, they are smaller ones, they are on the smaller side. So let me just see, this is about 2.25 by 3.75. So, okay, you know, not overly big, not too tiny either, but it is a little bit on the smaller side, so more of this size, I suppose. So we'll just try to make different sizes and see how that goes. Okay, so usually I like to work in pairs, so let's try and do these two first, and then we'll work on the rest of them. So right off the bat, I'm going to start with a couple of these. So we will tear up a piece of this and tear it up some more and put a little piece. Let's see, I'm not sure how much I really want. I'm going to start with that, and then, you know, we'll see if I want more or less, or we can always take away or whatever it is. So piece of that, and we'll put that maybe up here, and a piece of, sorry, a piece of this for over here. Now, even though I'm working with the same papers, I put them in sort of different places, so they're not identical, but they will be similar. So when I do a set of tags, they usually sort of look the same, in the same style, but they're not exactly the same as far as the details. So I do like to use the same papers, and if I really feel that, oh my goodness, it's almost exactly the same, then I will change something up. But for now, it will be in this way. So I like those legs that I found, so I'm going to use them. Tear that up a little bit and see how I can place this, or where I can place it. I might have to take some of this off. And so these two I might do with the legs, and then use something different on the white tags. And do one over here. Yes, I like that. Then I might, you know, look through my stash here that I had and see. I'm going to use some of that foreign language here, so I'm going to tear some of these off. It really doesn't matter how much or where you tear it. This one has a number on it, number 5s, and I like numbers, so I'm going to use that up. And so what I'm doing here is I'm preparing this tag to be glued down. First, I want to see what I want to put on it and how it might look, whether it makes any sense or anything. And with this also, now I want to put some of my fabrics that I have. So let me see where I might put some of this tea bag somewhere. So it's going to be a lot about the fibers or the texture as well. So I'm going to, let's say, for example, put that there. Now it doesn't have to be perfectly on, you know, doesn't have to be perfectly square. Some of this might be a little bit off the edge, and I'll put this one on the other side. That is good. And then I surely want some cheesecloth. So I'm just going to see, what I might use. Okay. Sorry about the shake. And I probably don't want a lot of it, or at least not all in the same place. So I'm going to put some, maybe just like that, over there, and then some on this side here. Now, as far as a little bit of color, I'm not sure. Even this really isn't anything, but I might use that. It does have the brownish colors, the earthy tones that I'm looking for. I'm not sure about this piece, but I will probably use this piece over here. It's perfect right there. And as far as the other one, do I want to use just the brown? I might put it somewhere. Okay. But I do want a little bit more on that one. So might go to one of mine here and just start anywhere and just tear it up at some point. Okay. Let's see, now this is too much, so we don't want quite that much. Now I might put that over here. Okay, with a little bit of the green there. Okay, so this might go like that. And now either put it here or put it here a little bit for a little bit of color over here on this side. Some of these smaller things that I have. Okay, I have a little bit of the eyelash, which I might put here. And I have, let me see what else I might have here. Well, I have some of these that I could use up. Oh, there's a little bit of that shiny metallic painting I already have cut up. So, do I need anything more here? I might not need anything more there, but I believe I'm missing something over here. So, I might add this one to that. Okay. That's good. So this is already enough as far as the paper and whatever is on it. I believe that's already enough for that one. This one, because it has this plain one there, I might put a little bit more on that. But, well, I don't use too much laces, but I might do something as far as this. Okay. And a little bit on this one. What could I find here that might put in there? Let me see. Well, I have black. Yeah, I could go with black, right? A little bit of black. Now either here or up there. Maybe just, yeah, over here. Now the only other thing I might add to this is a little bit on my burlap. I might just use like a little corner and put that somewhere. Okay, perfect. And use the other piece over here. And put this somewhere. Might put that on this side here. And then as I finish it, as I glue it down, I might still add some more of something. So this is a good start as far as that's concerned. Just get rid of some of these little bits that we don't want it to, get in the way of our work. So, okay, so we have two now that we can start gluing down. So I'm just going to move one and work on this one. So now, as far as I don't want this whole thing to fall over, so I am going to move it to the side, sort of, so that I know what goes on which side. So basically now I'm just going to glue this down. And I just put the glue right over everything. And then, of course, you're going to end up probably using more glue, but let's say this much. And let's just start with something. Now, I like to put it a little bit over, just a little bit with primitive tags, just a little bit over, not a lot. but, and I will just go like this just to make it go firmly. Of course, I could use my bone thingy. Again, the word of the night thingy, my bone thingy, but I don't know where it is. So let's go on with this over here. Also a little bit over the edge. And right on top here. And on this side is this piece over here. Let's get this down while we have this glue over here. And now, of course, if I'm missing something, I will find out. We will find out if we're missing something somewhere. If we don't have enough to make this a good collage. So, let me just, I like to make sure that everything is stuck down. That's just me, you know. And now, what comes this way? Okay, we'll put this over here. Now, see, I had this here to put this and this, but now it's going to cover up my 5, which I really wanted. I could put it like this. But now, somehow, this probably should have went higher onto this one. And I put it too low, and I have no space now for this one. I could put it in the middle, and then this would go over top. But then it covers it up too much. I really want it to be seen more. So sometimes you end up doing this. You pick it right up, and we'll move this up. And now I need to put glue over here. There, that's better. And now we're going to have some room for this one. Now, first I'll put this one on. You know, if things like the cheesecloth likes to stick to you, gotta watch for cheesecloth. So we'll just put this one. Now, you can put it that way or you can put it this way. So what I'll do is, because this will mostly be covered up probably by something, I will put the jagged edge over here. So all around, because it's a primitive tag, we're going to have some of the paper that is a little bit over, which is fine. You can always, you know, take it off if you really need it. If you really don't want it, you can, you know, cut it off or whatever. So I'm going to put this here, and let me see, right over here. Now, if you feel maybe it's a little bit too much, and you have, we have some green right here, so we don't need that little piece of green. So I'm just going to put it this over here, like, okay. So it's looking pretty good, I think, as far as the colors falling together and so on. So now over here, you could put something under. For example, if you're using this one, you could put something under and you can still see it a little bit, right? So I'm wondering whether we should put this actually here and then put this over top, or just put this over top without anything. And then this went over here on top of that. Or I could do half and half, right? Could put that over here and then that over here and leave this. Or I can find something like maybe, I could use a little bit of flour, right? Because it will be mostly cut off anyways, or you know, you won't see most of it anyhow. So I'm just gonna pick off little bits and see if that makes some kind of difference. I think it does. I think it gives a little bit more detail, but without being overwhelming. So what I'll do is I'll stick this over here. Sort of like that. Why not? And then this one on top over here. But I'm going to leave a little bit in between so they can see some of the gray. And then this. We'll go there. And then we'll put this over top of all of that. Well, of most of it. So let's see if that will stick or not. And of course we want to leave it a little bit off here. So there's quite a bit over. It's okay. And this one's half and half. And now I don't need to stick all of it, though I like to stick everything, but or glue everything down. But I'm going to leave this as it is. We're still going to do a little bit of sewing inside of these as well. If my machine will go over this thickness, but I think it does for the most part. And then there's a thicker or a bigger part of here of the tea bag. So I like it like this. It gives the grunginess here quite nicely. And so we have nothing in the middle, as you can tell, but this leg is going to go right over top of here. Now, as far as the leg, let me put this somewhere first, maybe right over here. Oh yeah, and we also have this little piece that we decided to use. Now, sometimes you end up not using everything you put out, but because I want a lot of texture on these, and if this doesn't stick down, you know, use your plastic. I could use my bone thingy, but I don't have it. And now originally I think I had this over here somewhere, but I believe that now I might put it more up here because there's kind of an empty spot over here. Now this sometimes doesn't want to stick with the glue stick, but we'll just kind of try just to keep it down for now until we can get it to the sewing machine. Okay, so it's looking good. I like the colors, I like the textures and so on. Now we're going to, oh, wait, one more piece, right? We had this to go somewhere. Now where did this go? Did it go here? Did it go here? Where do we initially want to put this? Maybe I think over here somewhere. Because the other one we have on the top there. But I mean, it doesn't mean that we can't put this over here as well, because we have all this here that we haven't put anything on. Not really this way. So I'm thinking actually, I like the A. I might put this over here. And even though we stuck this one over here, I'm going to move this maybe more up here, even all the way to the top. What do you think? All the way to the top. I like this over here, so I'm not gonna cover that whole thing up. I believe I'm going to, how do you put it here? No. Put it over here. Okay, so let's see then. This piece, the burlap, then goes here or this way. Oh, I definitely think it goes with this corner here. So maybe even this way. Yeah, right into the corner. I like that. You know, if you play with it, usually find what feels the best. So I like that, going right sort of across into the corner. So we have lots and lots of texture over here on this primitive tag. And now this will go over here. But before we put that there, to use some of these fibers that I've just pulled off of the burlap. And I'm just going to cut this over here a little bit so that I have a little whole bit of it. I like to have the burlap go right across like this and just be glued down a little bit here and then be loose over here. So when I'm sewing this down, I'm going to try to leave these out so that they continue to be loose. So this here is beautiful. I love it. This is what to me gives that rustic or primitive look, is the texture of this tag. So let's just put a little more glue over here. It will stick a little bit anyhow. Now I want it to be sort of Not exactly same size, but sort of, kind of even on each side. So if one of the sides seems really, really much longer, well, no, I think they're about the same. Then you can always trim it. So there we go. We're gonna stick that down over here, and then make sure that we have some on top here, and we have some over here. Now it comes right off a little bit. You can trim that off, or you can glue it a little bit more over here, which is what we'll try to do anyways, just so it stays a little bit more on top of the tag. There. Okay, so that is pretty good. And now this will go over it. Now, do we want something more underneath of that, or just put the plain thing? I'm thinking that maybe some of that, a little bit more of this, or not more, but some of this different one. I might put this right on top to see how that will look. In fact, I'm going to glue it down right onto this piece. And, well, just so I can, now far enough from the edges so I can tear around it. And not too big, because we don't want to cover up too much over there. And right around it, just give it that torn look. I'm liking that it has a little bit more of a piece that is, now you could ink this around the edge, but you can always do it still if you feel like it needs it. I'm not sure that it needs it now that it has this edge around it. So let me see. I don't want to cover the A or the 5. And I want some of this visible. I don't want to cover this here. So some certain things you want to watch for so that it doesn't get completely covered up. Now, it still almost feels like maybe missing something. I'm not sure. Anything of this, possibly? Do we want to add a little bit? Like I said, you don't need to add the whole thing. You can just add a little bit of it and see where it might go. See if you want to stick it somewhere. Possibly here, right? They want to go this way. Not really. They want to go on this side. Maybe right on top here. And then over here. I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay. And yeah, I might use that. And let's just use a tiny bit more on the other side, but not as much. So I'm really going to slim it down. So it's sort of sitting on top, almost like giving it that look that it's sitting on top of everything. So yeah, I like that. Now you could put this right underneath it, but what I will do sometimes to fill up, let's say, the gap, if now I'm putting this over here, and let's see if that will stay here. That is a good spot for it. That's fine. And then this spot over here. Nope, this one moved on me. Let's see. Yeah, so yeah, that's good like that. Now, in order to fill up underneath, what I do sometimes is I'll pick up all of these little pieces that I have put aside for garbage, and I'm going to put them in the middle. So even that, sometimes when I have the time, I will just scoop up whatever I have put away for garbage and glue it in here. so that I'm actually still recycling. I know I'm using a little bit of extra glue, but not a lot. Not a heck of a lot, so that it's okay if I use it. Now, it's also going to fill up the gap. Instead of using this, which is a little bit more precious to me, I'm just going to use the bits that I was going to throw out and put this in the back here. Okay. Almost done. One little bit over here. Okay. So now I'm going to put glue all over. You know, sometimes, like I said, you might end up using some more stronger glue, but we shall try like this. Now this goes a little bit more this way. And then now if something is there, you can see both of those now. And now maybe it's not as low here as I would have liked. So let me just see if I move it a little bit. Am I now covering up too much of this? Not really. I can still move it a little bit out. And this one, I can still see this one pretty well. But I might move it out a little bit. You can see it a little bit more. There. And I filled up in the middle, so it's still sort of sticking up. Now it could be sticking up altogether, but I'm going to glue it down just to hold everything in because, well, we don't want this to fall apart. So now I'm going to sew around this way, right around this image, and then do some more sewing around, but leaving these pieces loose. So these will be loose and these will be loose. Hopefully as much as I can. And let me see. Okay. There we go. So here's one tag, one primitive tag that is ready to be sewn and completed. Now on the back, you can leave it like this and write on that. I mean, why not? But what I will do is, because I have that other beautiful paper. So okay, we're going to put that this way. And then I just like to have it ready. Now this one is of some sort of a form. So I'm cutting into some lines that I maybe wanted to use in something, but I have more. So we will put this over here and then sew it together. But first I'm going to sew inside of the tag, and then I will put this on top and sew right around it to finish the whole thing. And then we'll make a hole in it and put a little bit of a tab on it, or sew a tab on, or whatever. So this is our first one. So this is a very nice binge, tag binge that we're doing. Primitive tag binge. So I'll continue tomorrow on the next one. We have everything together here. We just need to glue it down. So we'll just leave this as it is because it's getting cold up here in the attic. And I am going to get to bed and work on the computer. That's what I usually do each night. I work on a computer then with my orders, or making digitals kits, or digital collages, and also any other, you know, the processing or editing these videos that I do, tutorials or journals and so on. So never a dull moment in crafting world. Of course, we're always busy with something. So I will continue the next part tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye. Rosie and RoseByNameCo.